I am the terror that streams on the weekends. I am the YouTube channel that uploads once in a blue moon and then dies for another few blue moons. I am finally live! Was that overdramatic? Was that too dramatic? No. No, it wasn't overdramatic. I'm never too dramatic. Right? I don't think so. I'm just gonna join the voice chat. Oh, I did no Yeah, but hello, YouTube. Discord, what are you doing? Are you done now, Discord? Are you going to die? I sure hope not. Come on, YouTube. Chomp chomp. Time is ticking away. Okay, hopefully Discord doesn't die. Yeah, but, as seen by the, thing in the description, I have been writing, Darkwing.fanfic because I have no self-control and I'm choking on air, yay. Just gonna give everyone a bit to, you know, hop in and whatnot. Yeah, but I have been on a, Darkwing.kit recently. Love it, love it, love it to bits. I grew up with it because of my parents, so when the Let's Get Dangerous DuckTales episode got, you know, confirmed, I may have screamed. Oh gosh, so many people. I know so many people. Ah! Oh gosh. Okay, let's just keep that open for now. Yeah, but, with how much art I've been doing with him, I wonder who my favorite Darkwing villain is. I wonder. Right now, at least. I wonder indeed. I'm actually gonna put a link for the stream up on Tumblr, in case anyone wants to pop in from there. Allow me to post the link, Tumblr. There we go, jeez Louise. Yeah, but, apologies about not streaming yesterday. I was having a hangout day with a friend. So I was doing that. Not sure what I'm gonna work on today, but it's going to be something. I'm sure of that. I'm just giving people some time to tune in and whatnot. Because, you know, I want to give people time to join in. And have some sort of clue as to what's going on. And then I've been, like, working on my Darkwing character voice imitations. Like, oh, I've been working on Bushroot a little bit. Not quite deep enough, but, you know. For my AU, he's a little younger, so his voice sounds a little bit higher, you know? And then you've got Liquidator, who I'm not quite warmed up enough to do properly yet. And I still gotta work on Metavolt a bit to, like, get that proper amount of nasaliness, I guess. And then you've got Twatterchat, who's just, like, you know, sort of high, but still sort of low, if that makes any sense. And then to give y'all whiplash, then I sorta started trying out Sealbeat, you know? Like, sorta sounding like this. The one thing I can't get down is his laugh. Because I love Steelbeat as a character and all, but also his laugh just sounds dumb. Sorry, that wasn't a proper laugh. Yeah, but the voices have been coming along great, as have, like, the projects and stuff I've been working on out behind the scenes. But, like, you know, no, I'm not gonna spend the whole stream talking like Steelbeat. Brain, come on, get it all together. And then I'm still sort of working on my Darkwing duck voice. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am... What am I, really? Am I a duck? Am I a cartoon? Why am I going British? Stop it. The masked mallard watches his beautiful city in the night, making sure that there was no crime going on. His voice is a little difficult. And then you've got Launchpad, who's still a work in progress, but he's coming along great, I like to think, right, DW? Yeah, but it's it being a like I still gotta work on my Bushroot a little bit, but you know, it just takes a little bit to get into his voice sometimes. The easiest one by far for me though has been Spike, Bushroot's little Venus flytrap pal here, because it's just, you know, it's just like, it's like dog noises. That's basically all Spike is, which is why he's so easy. No, I'm not gonna train it a duck, because he is not anywhere near ready to be tested yet. Like, maybe rude! Water bottle! Yeah, but maybe Metavolt's gonna sound a little like this. Oh, what would I do without you, my little white bulbs? You know? Because I don't have a typical, like, just default nasally voice like this. My voice sounds like this. This is me not making any edits to my voice. I sound weird. Like, with most of the crew, whenever I do their voice, I have this weird thing where I have words that I associate with characters. Like, for instance, with Liquidator, water, liquid, all around, like, flexible. So, I know to let my tongue roll around in my mouth a little bit. With Metavolt, it's like nasally, typically, like, you know. Oh, that is so like you! And then Quackerjack is just like, typical, like, happy-go-lucky, but something is still wrong. Clown. Like, this Jack in the Box is gonna knock your socks off, Dipwing. Like, something sort of like that. Except not Jack in the Boxes, because in my AU I'm making after the Patty Whack incident, he has literally banned Jack in the Boxes. And then you've got his little Mr. Banana Brain friend, who's, I may or may not be sentient, who knows? Like, they're words I associate with each character. With Metavolt, it's nasally, nerdy, energetic, lightbulb enthusiast, liquidator, wibbly wobbly, liquid, fluid, etc. With Bushroot, it's like shy, soft spoken, sort of introverted. Deep, obviously, because his voice is deep, but I can't reach I can't reach that level of deepness, so this is as deep as my voice can go. Which, if you've heard Bushroot, is nowhere near his level of deepness. Then another word I associate with him is plants, because that's his whole thing, and roots. And of course, like, anxiety, because if you have even seen any clips of Bushroot, come on. The dude has anxiety. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I'm forgetting. With Darkwing, it's like small, egotistical, thinks very highly of himself, so he speaks loudly, unless he's in a library, in which case he's a little more quiet like this, because crime fighters, even if they're fighting crime, must be quiet. And then you've got Launchpad, who's like deep but loud, like up in the air, no idea what he's doing, just, you know, everyone's friend. And then you've got Goslin, who's like little girl rebellious, even though she's not a teenager. Uh, very wanting to be involved with everything, you know. Typical little kid stuff. And then note that this is not my final Netadot voice impression. I must stress that heavily. Grim, gritty, very deep and dark and grimy and dank, like, very, like, very, dangerous. And, like, I'm not talking in that voice anymore because I don't, you know, it doesn't hurt. I must stress that heavily. It doesn't hurt. It's just a little hard to get certain words out. But it's fine. I'll get used to it, don't worry. Very, like, there's a sense of danger, so you're gonna want to tiptoe. Like, it's typically very calm. Like, oh, look, it's Dipwing. But when he gets like this, that's how you know you've screwed up big. 'Cause one different thing in my Darkwing AU I'm working on is, unlike in the original run, Netadot is very calm. Like, 'cause a lot of it is like running off of my personal fears. So, one of my fears is when people start talking calmly, like, no emotion, no nothing, just flat talking. Like, that's one of the things that scares me the most, because there's pretty much no emotion in there. So most of the time it's like, hello, Bushroot, Quadrajet, Dimbulb, Liquidator. I almost forgot Liquidator again. But, like, he's very calm. Because calm before the storm. Like, my parents are napping downstairs, so I'm not gonna go full angry Najadak mode. But he gets very yelly and shouty whenever he gets upset. Like in the original Darkwing comic. Or not comic, sorry. There was a Darkwing comic, but he was less... Actually, I think he was a little more edgy. But, like, I'm going mostly off of the comic run, except for Quadrajet. Actually, that reminds me mentioning the comic. Comic Quadrajet is easily my favorite take on Quadrajet, because he's more like Joker-like. Like, I love that take on him because, you know, I love the, typical, it's playtime, Quadrajet, but this may be just because I see him as having ADHD and I myself have it. But having him be, like, the butt of all jokes is, like, it's a little, So, like, in my thing, he's gonna start off as that typical, it's playtime, Quadrajet. But after a certain incident. I haven't decided what yet. He's gonna slip more into that whole, like, comic take on Twatterjack persona. Like, he's gonna be more serious and more, you know, Joker-like. He's gonna start off, like, actually, I have a file here that I can show, like, just visual-wise what the difference is gonna be. So, like, at the start, on the left, is, like, before the incident. And obviously, like, I'm gonna fix the color of the floof and whatnot, because that is not anything that changes. But as you can tell here, hold on, here, here, his color palette gets half, like, 50% duller, 50% darker. Like, it loses 50% of its its saturation goes by back 50% and it gets darker by 50%. And of course he keeps the eyebrows because, you know, that's just how he is. I'm actually gonna change the line art back real quick because otherwise that's gonna bother me. Yeah, no, but like, the visual difference between, I'll just call it Playtime Twatterjack and like Playtime's Over, I guess, Twatterjack, is like, I remember someone I follow on Tumblr had a really good voice headcanon for when he, you know, snapped, I guess is the best way to put it. And like, you know, I think it was like a bunny rabbit from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy or something like that. But like, and I heard the example that they gave, and it works. Like, it is spot on, sort of. But like, the way I hear it in my head, it's still got a little bit of that, like, sing-songy tone to it. But it's less of, like, oh, let's sing along, kiddos. This song is very, like, upbeat and happy. Follow the bouncing ball. And more, like, nursery rhyme-ish. So it's less of, like, I've got to think of an example of a children's song, because I listen to a lot of not children's songs. But, like, it's less of, like, again, this is not the final Quadrojet voice. It's more of, it's less of a, like, Hakuna Matata, and more of a, like, I just realized I don't know many nursery rhymes. It's less of a Hakuna Matata, and more of a, like, eerie, like, nursery rhyme. London Bridge is falling down, kind of thing. Like, it's musical, but something is very clearly wrong here. And then you've got, like, oh, that's actually a good idea for the chapter where Twatterjack shifts from regular to this variant. Playtime's over. But no, because again, I had canon QJ as having ADHD. I'm making sure that he is not a joke. Because ADHD rep is good and all, but when the only character with it is used for comedy relief, that doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, but Twatterjack really quickly shifts from that typical, like, yoo-hoo, it's playtime persona and more to, like, I don't care if it's morally incorrect. You know, like, I feel like, cause, again, I'm, like, doing more self-fulfilling stuff, if I gave him, like, for instance, a niece, like I did with, with Bushroot, that kid getting in danger would probably be the only thing to snap him out of it. Because he'll realize, hey, no, this isn't what I stood for. This is not what I should be standing for. This is wrong. This is bad. I should not be doing this. So it's like, seeing someone he cares about get in danger would snap him out of it fairly quickly. Because it's like, his main thing in my story, at least, he's like, he's very, before the playtime is over arc, kids are his first priority. Like, full stop. His only priority is that kids are safe. Like, safe and sound, because, you know, as a toy maker, that is your priority, to make sure that the kids are safe. And if you don't succeed at that, like, you could get, you know, sued for it. It's that opposite of what you want, right? Like, he cares a lot about kids. Like, first and foremost, uh, his, uh, his goal, I guess you could say, is to, even if he's not a licensed toy maker anymore, that they want, like, he's still a crowd pleaser, I guess, is the best way to put it. So if a kid, especially one he himself is, like, related to in some way, were to get hurt because of him, that would probably sting, like, a lot. Like, he'd probably feel like he, you know, heavy quotation marks, betrayed his profession, I guess. Like, this isn't what I stood for. What am I doing? This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, for my take on him, he's more of a tragic character than anything, really. Like, the best way to put it, he's like, the best way to put him is he's a super, like, sympathetic, I guess, person. Probably because of the whole clown jester persona thing is where I'm getting that from, but it's like, as like an uncle or like grandparent too, like, if you are responsible for like a kid or something, you've got to make sure you're taking good care of that kid. You know, so it's like, again, his main driving point, for me at least, is like, because in the original series, he was very, like, angry towards the whole Wiffle Boy company because they put him out of business, which is understandable because he felt that video games were damaging to the brain, and, you know, what's the point of, you know, making toys for kids that won't really look in his direction, if that makes sense? Like, he's a tragic character in my opinion. Like, it's sort of like, again, this is just my AU, so, you know, this is what I feel like would work for this specific thing. His main, like, drive for getting back at Wiffle Boy was to, like, quote unquote, save children's imaginations from dying away. Like, obviously, at one point he would realize video games aren't that bad. I'll let it slide. But this is Twatterjack, and as much as I love him, he doesn't always make logical decisions. He's more right-brained than left-brained. He's more creatively inclined than he is logically. Which is understandable, but also, like, sad when I think about it. Because it's like, he just wants to entertain kids. That's all he wants. So it's like, thinking about that, it's like, I feel bad for him almost. Because it's like, when you run out of business, it's not cheap in the slightest, especially in Quackerjack's, like, field. Because if you've, like, you know, overstocked on some things, you can't exactly, like, quote unquote, get rid of those easily. like, you either have a heavy clearance sale, which is like, I don't know, for some reason I just can't see Quattrojet doing that, because, you know, unless, you know, one specific kid were, like, somehow unable to, you know, afford it. Even then, that's a heavy maybe. But, like, whenever I, you know, consider what I could do to, you know, explain Quattrojet losing it, it all comes down to, like, he would, quote unquote, harm, I use heavy quotation marks there, adults, because they're basically the ones who, you know, put him out of business, but never a kid, because the kids had no part in it. They're just innocent bystanders. And, like, it's probably in his more very loose moral code to, like, you never hurt a kid, ever. If you do, you are a horrible person and I will execute you in front of the general public. So for my thing I'm working on, he's not, like, he's not far gone to the point of, like, oh, you can't save him anymore, he is unsavable. He is still very much savable. Like, all that hurt from being shut down for seemingly no reason aside from, like, accidental dangers that were probably, you know, unintentional. Like, keeping all that bottled up inside and never being able to, you know, take it out on anyone, because, again, I see one of his rules as you never hurt a kid no matter how much they have wronged you. Because they're kids, they don't know what they're doing. So he's very, like, I care about kids too much to ever hurt them. So for me, he's always been sympathetic because, you know, I just am one of those people. And it's like, I guess it's just me being like, I want to help this guy get, you know, the stuff he needs for help. But also while also not disregarding everything horrible. Because I, you know, am not excusing anything. Let it be known I am not doing that at all. But, like, I do sort of simplify with his, you know, situation, I guess. Like, I am a huge control freak. Everyone who knows me knows this. Because I am bait about it. Like, I'm so bait about it that I'll be like, if I do not have control, I will literally go insane. But, like, I know what it's like to lose control of a situation and lose, like, all your hard work because of it. Like, that has happened to me a few times, but not as bad as Quattrojet's. Mine has literally just been, like, my laptop dying for no reason. But, like, I am of the mindset that it is fine to sympathize with villains. Like, So long as you're not, excusing their really, truly terrible actions, which I am not doing. Do not at me. You are fine to sympathize with whoever you wish. Unless they're, like, really, truly horrible. Like, I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want YouTube to strike me down, but I'm sure anyone watching knows what I mean. If you've ever been on the dark side of YouTube. But, like, for me, Quackerjack is not horrible to sympathize for. Like, at all. Alongside Bushroot, he's one of my most sympathetic villains in the Darkwing series. Because it's like, I think all he really ever wanted to do was, like, entertain kids. Like, he just wanted to bring, as his catchphrase says, playtime to those, who wanted it. So to me, he's very, like, sympathetic, because I'm sort of the same mindset. Like, I make my stuff so alongside, for myself, it's also, like, for you guys, so that, I may be able to bring joy into your guys' homes, wherever you live. Like, my number one goal, aside from making stuff that I myself enjoy, a la the Bushroot animation from the other day, my goal is just, like, to entertain. Like, ever since I started YouTube, that's been my goal. To entertain people and, like, make them happy. And it's like, if I were thrust into Quackerjack's, like, spot, I would probably get a little bit upset too about, like, not being able to do what I want anymore for a reason as dumb as, like, his was. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still done not good things, but he's not as bad as Netaduck, who I have a little sympathy for, but not as much as Quackerjack. Because, again, I understand Quackerjack's stance. Yeah, but as someone trying to go into the entertainment industry, I can totally see where Quackerjack is coming from. Like, no problem thing. He's always been entertaining to me, but now that I'm older and, like, I understand stuff more in cartoons that I used to watch, he is much, much more sympathetic to me. Like, he's still entertaining, don't get me wrong, he's heckin' hilarious. But, like, now, I'm just like, oh, I feel so horrible for this guy. He's very much so, like, him just, turning into this after a single incident made sense to me almost. Because it's like, as someone who relates somewhat to Quackerjack, I can see him as bottling up his feelings, which I do, even though it's not healthy. I am aware of this. And bottling up feelings of hatred, anger, and resentment is not healthy in the slightest. So after a while of just bottling those kinds of feelings up, yeah, you would probably go crazy. And, like, gain resentment to anyone supporting whatever, you know, caused your specific downfall. And even when he's, you know, gone cuss snap, he still holds sympathy for kids. Like, he never loses it, he never gets tired of it. Like, he may not be all there all the time, but he still has that, like, typical, like, sympathy for kids that he should have. Like, he still cares about kids, cares about entertaining kids. Like, again, this is just my personal take on him, so let it be known that this is my opinion. But to me, his goal has always been entertain the kids, and you can be happy. And another thing that I see in Twatterjant that I myself have, keeping up an image. Like, this, I don't mean like Photoshop image, I mean like keeping up that image of being the typical, like, goofy, funny, ha-ha person of the team. Like, being the typical, like, oh gosh, that was goofy. Like, oops, that was a stupid mistake. Like, that kind of team member. I sort of have that, like, basically keeping up the whole facade that, like, gosh, that was stupid. But who knew that was gonna happen? Like a typical, gotta make sure everyone's having a good time, like, make sure everyone's happy persona. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but, like, I could totally see that with him. Because, again, he's a, sympathetic character to me, so I always try to see whatever standpoints I can with him. And whenever I can, it's like, he does give off very people-pleaserly vibes to me. Like, even before I knew what that word meant, I was like, oh yeah, this dude's a heavy people-pleaser. Like, he just sort of gave off that, like, vibe to me always, because I have always been, and probably always will be, a people-pleaser. That's just who I am. And obviously I'm trying to get better about it, because, you know, not a healthy mindset. But, yeah. Being a people pleaser, while it may feel good at first, can take a toll on people. Like, again, this may just be me, like, you know, self-projecting. But, like, again, to me, he's always been, like, sympathetic. Like, I can easily sympathize with him. That's just how I've always been, and probably always will be. And it's like, with him, I can easily tell, like, okay, this guy needs either a hug or some, like, therapy or something. That was a long ramble, but basically, I've always seen him as losing it because, again, that whole goal of, like, making kids happy and being a people pleaser could have been a huge, like, factor in him going from whatever his name was before the Twatterjack persona to Twatterjack. Like, people pleasers can spot people pleasers a mile away. I could see a people pleaser in him from 50. Because it's like, again, he just has those feelings of, like, or that vibe of, like, okay, he just looks like a people pleaser to me for some reason. Again, that may just be my self-projection. I should probably rewatch the series before, you know, making a complete statement, but, like, again, always seen him as a people pleaser. That's just how I am. Because, again, I myself am a people pleaser, so I can sniff one out a mile away. Hello. Wait, I don't know why it just shifted to discussion of Twatterjat's morals, but hey, it did, apparently. Yeah, but, like, have I just been have I been rambling about his like, I've almost been rambling about Twatterjat's morals for, like, an hour.
was doing a piano thing.
That's good. Welcome to the stream where apparently I will talk about Quadrajet's moral complex for over an hour almost.
Okay.
I did not know I would go on a tangent like that for like almost an hour. That is like I don't even remember like no wait, yeah I do. I remember what started it. It was basically just me like discussing my take on him.
I'm just gonna be modding chat, okay?
Yeah, that's work. That's work. English fun good.
That work. Okay, I'll hop back into the call later.
Gotcha. Yeah, but this is an interesting stream already. Maybe after I'm done with this rough sheet, I'll move on to like discussing the morals with like my headcanon for Bushroot's set of morals. Because again, most sympathetic character for me, aside from Quadrajet, so that's probably going to be interesting. And like another hour on of rambling from me. Nope, overlay is not good. Okay, that looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna go with that. Playtime's over. Yeah, no need to worry though. At one point, a certain black and white clown duck will be making an appearance. But yeah. Now that I'm done apparently having a therapy session about Quackerjack, because that rant was certainly long enough to be a therapy session with him. Let's move on to Reggie. Or Bushroot. So, for anyone who is voice track, yay, unaware of who Bushroot is, because I don't think many people know about Darkwing nowadays, so it's like, it's whatever. This guy here is. I am actually gonna take a really quick second to grab a drink of water. Once more into the fray. This guy here is Dr. Reginald Bushroot, aka Bushroot, aka Darkwing's. Basically, the Darkwing universe is Poison Ivy. Bushroot is one of the more sympathetic characters because well, for one, he's Bushroot. What more needs to be said? And he didn't always look like this. I believe I have a reference screenshot. Gotta double check though. I should. Yeah. I have reference screenshots for obvious reasons. Reference. Here's him before and him after. I stayed as close as I could to his canonical design, but I did make a few little switches around. They're not very noticeable here, so everything's fine. But, like, basically, this guy, wanted to make it to where people could be like plants and feed off of sunlight. It sort of worked when he tested it on himself, but, I'm pretty sure normal people do not blood plant. I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. And it succeeded, but at the cost of his duckmanity? Humaniduck? His humanity, but whatever the duck variant is. And he turned into this lovable dork. And The reason why I say he's sympathetic is because I hear people passing by my door. Is because I keep hearing people pass by my door. uh, he worked at the St. Bernard University as a botanist or plant scientist with a specialty for plants. I believe that is a botanist. Correct me if I'm wrong. But people never took him seriously, which is really rough. And let's just say his time was not. No, I didn't want to do that. Stop. Stop. He wasn't the most popular guy there. And he just, wants to live a normal life like any person or duck in this case, or plant duck would. Like, spoilers, even though the show's old, in case there's anyone who wants to go watch it, I would highly recommend it. If you do not want spoilers for episodes, you can just, clock out. But, he just wants to live normally. Like, because he has the ability to, control plants, hence why Spike exists. He was like, hey, you know what? I think I'll try to make myself a bride. Because I can't get with the one I actually really love, because she's a duck, and I'm a plant, and that's weird, and she doesn't like me, it looks like, so he makes himself one. Posey. She was gonna be a flower, she was gonna be, his wife, he was gonna have a family finally, which was all he basically wanted. Now, prefacing, I love this little nugget. Really, I love Spike. But he sort of screwed up the potion to mate Posey, and she didn't turn out to be a Posey. She instead turned out to be a potato. Not saying that she was Lord. Not saying that that was a bad thing. Just saying she was big. She was literally a potato. 'Cause Spike grabbed the wrong thing. He grabbed something instead of the Posey essence or whatever it was. And Posey became a potato. Posey eventually has to, get taken care of, and Bushroot isn't happy about it. Like, she comes back later in the comics, but he still has to get her taken out. Which is sad, because I really want him to be happy. But, yeah, he speaks to me as sympathetic because I just, for one, that face. For two, his situation is just like, it's understandable why he, like, got angry and sort of, like, quote unquote took out, like, committed the parish to his past associates named Darian Larson, and I now realize what their names are puns on potentially, and that is making me die. But obviously I never excuse violent actions, like, that's, unless they're in self-defense. That's not the way I am. Bushroot just wanted to make the world a better place. He wanted to live in said better place. He wanted a family, he wanted a wife, which, again, I love Spike, but he sort of screwed that whole thing up. And, yeah, it ultimately cost him his, or any hopes he had of, unless somehow he figured out how to get cured, he sadly doesn't have any hopes of a normal life. Which is horrible to think about, because it's like, I know I'm not supposed to I know I'm not supposed to like the villains, but it's also like, how can I not like Bushroot? It's like, sometimes he'll do things so that, he may have hopes of living a normal life. But then there's those times where it's like, he just does crime to do crime. Which is like, pun not intended because plants, but I'm a little on the fence of, like, sometimes I stress heavily sometimes. I love Bushroot, trust me. Sometimes it's like, I don't know about you, sir. But, like, because I am the way that I am, I'm writing him to, like, always have a reason for what he does. Like, currently in the fanfic I'm writing, nudge nudge wink wink, link in the description. Yes, I'm self-promoting. No, he always has a reason for what he does. For me, at least. Like, in the thing I'm writing, again, linked in the description. It's on Tumblr. I am aware of the horrible formatting, but, read it. I spent a week on it. It's like 400 something words. I gotta double check now. Go read it. I spent a week on it. It's 4619 words. Anyway, his current goal, I guess, aside from obviously, finally getting a normal life like he deserves. Don't boo me, I'm right. He's currently trying to make it to where, like, Hunter can either finally make up with an old best friend of hers that, she fought with, or, like, finally get the two to make up, if that makes any sense. Like, he's basically trying to, like, get Hunter to either not suffer or suffer less. Because I'm me, it's gonna be suffer less, but, character development and whatnot. And it's like, Hunter and Bushroot are not a thing. Like, they're not in a relationship. They're, very, very close best friends. Like, Bushroot is Hunter's first true best friend. So it's like, he knows what best friends are for, so he's basically like, okay, who hurt you? No, wait, hold on. Okay, Hunter. Apologies if this is a little too personal. Who exactly was your best friend? And because Hunter is like, maybe if I tell him I'll finally let go, she tells him and he basically is like, okay, I'm gonna find them, bring them to you, have you two talk, and unless something between you two happens that, gets you two to, start fighting, like, you know, we can just, have you talk it out and maybe you'll be friends again. Nope, wrong flash. But, like, basically my take on Bushroot is very emotionally driven. Like, he cares almost too much. Like, obviously he knows, when to stop, why to stop, how to stop. If something is, going too far. Unless there's promise of him becoming normal again, like, or some other conditions I haven't thought of yet. But he's very, again, emotionally driven. Like, he understands why Hunter would be hurt by her best friend. 'Cause I'm not saying anything yet, but I will say that from Hunter's POV, it looks like her best friend used her for, climbing the high school social ladder. Because, again, this is like a reality check type thing. To most high schoolers, popularity is pretty much all that matters. So it's like, obviously, like, wait, there's one line from Bushroot that I love the way I put it. I gotta find it. Money is a large influence on people's choices, but the social ladder is one that's a much larger influence. Peer pressure is a horrible thing to be put up against. Maybe she was forced to say those things? No, it doesn't make sense. Does it? Or are you just so badly hurt by a few words you heard that you refuse to believe that there was anything but malice behind them? Like, because again, Bush are very emotionally driven. Obviously, he's not denying that Hunter was hurt. He knows Hunter well enough to be able to tell when she has been hurt. Like, he knows her well enough to tell that, okay, this incident hurt her really badly. I'm gonna talk it out with her. So he does do that, and obviously, when he sees how hurt Hunter was by, or how upset Hunter was about talking about it, he was like, okay, maybe I should wait a bit before talking about this a little more. Let's shift the topic over. Because again, I feel like a broken record here, but very, very emotionally driven. So he can, read how certain people are feeling, like if he has a strong enough connection to them. Like if it's a stranger, he won't be able to read their emotions well. He just can't. But like, obviously sometimes he prods a little more than he probably should, but he has good intentions. Like, he's very, you seem sad, I want to help you. How can I help you not be sad? Or angry, or upset, or hurt, or whatever. Just how, in what way can I help you? And again, not disregarding any of the stuff he's done, like, that's not what I'm trying to do, but, he does try his best. Like, one thing with him is, like, he's very in tune with Hunter because, well, as of right now, in the thing I'm writing, link in the description, he is basically, like, giving Hunter a place to stay. Like, she's staying with him in his, like, little hideout for the time being until, like, she gets assigned someone else to work with. So he's learned what her social cues are for, like, when her anxiety is hitting, when she's not having a good day, when, you know, he's basically learned all of her social cues for things. And, pun not intended, the two are basically peas in a pod. Like, if they didn't look different from each other, and, one wasn't a plant duck, then I would probably think that they were siblings. Because again, they're like super close. Like, they might as well be siblings at this point, you know? And then he's learned, like, what jokes he can make, what jokes he can't make, what he can say, what he can't say, what he can do, what he cannot do, how he can help Hunter and how he can't help Hunter, you know? Like, I'm certain if he didn't have a, like, pretty much perfect memory, he'd have, like, a big old notebook of, like, social cues for Hunter. Like, because Hunter is a self-insert, for those who don't know. One of her biggest, one of her biggest anxiety triggers is loud noises. And the way that that was found out was, like, obviously was on accident. Like, Bushard pretty much never means anything malicious towards Hunter. It was purely by accident that it was found out, but basically the way they found out that was one of Hunter's biggest anxiety triggers was, and again, I love Spike and all, but he's basically a dog, like a small dog, and those get loud. So, like, it was either something spooked Spike and he made a loud sound, or something Bushard was working on exploded. And Hunter's anxiety was like, hey, remember me? Yeah, you're gonna feel me for the next 2 hours. And then it's like, cause from what I remember, and from my take on his voice, it's very velvety, soft, like, this sounds really weird, but his voice is basically a pillow. Like, his voice is super calming for some reason to me. And it's like, whenever Hunter feels anxiety coming to hit, she immediately goes to, like, either bush root or, because again, uh, this is a lot of self-fulfillment, Metavolt, because I can see Metavolt as having anxiety of some form to calm down, because while his voice may not be the most calming, he does tend to, like, to enjoy a lot of the stuff that Hunter herself enjoys. But when Hunter's anxiety is so bad that, like, she can't focus on anything except the anxiety, in comes the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 anxiety method, which is like, oh gosh, I'm gonna double check this so I don't, get it wrong. I'm double checking because I would rather be accurate than guessing. That's not it. Grounding technique, maybe? What is the 5? Wait, I saw that. No. Here we go. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique is 5. Acknowledge 5 things you can see around you. 4. Acknowledge 4 things you can touch around you. 3. Acknowledge 3 things you can hear. 2. Acknowledge 2 things you can smell. 1. Acknowledge 1 thing you can taste. So, whenever anyone is, well, whenever Metavolt or Bushroot is unable to talk Hunter out of an anxiety attack, it's like, okay, talking about something she enjoys isn't gonna work. Let's go for that grounding technique. Because, you know, and then other times there's no talking at all. It's just like sitting with her so as to not, like, make it worse. Because, like, I feel like, because one of my big anxiety things is buzzing noises. So, like, because electricity buzzes, it just does that. Like, Medieval basically takes care to make sure that, like, Hunter, like, or always takes care to make sure that, like, he doesn't have any, like, anything that would make buzzing noises, basically. So, like, because I don't remember, again, I'll have to go back through the series, but, like, I don't remember if he needs his electricity pet to survive. I don't think he does. Like, again, I don't remember, because I haven't seen it in a while. But, like, basically he tries to make it to where he can sit with Hunter with very little, like, anxiety triggers, again, little to no buzzing noises. Making sure she has enough space, but not to where it feels like she's in space, which is so, like, yeah. Another quick water break. But, like, he made sure that Hunter has as much space as she needs, as much quiet as she needs. Because, again, this is going off of my personal experiences with anxiety, so, like, I know that whenever mine hits, I need, like, space. I will only want people nearby if I request it, or if they're quiet, or there to help. Because my anxiety is social anxiety, and it gets really bad sometimes. But, like, yeah. And then the thing with Bushroot and Hunter, like, he, obviously, like, when they first quote unquote room together, like, share the same hideout, they establish boundaries. Like, you know, personal boundaries. Thank you, voice, for almost cutting out. I love you too. Much smooches. No, but like. And then, cause Hunter is texture sensitive, I think is the proper phrase. Like, Busher takes that into account as well. Like, making sure that especially with like food, because he himself doesn't need conventional food. Like, he just requires sunlight. But Hunter requires conventional food. So he's gotta make sure that, like, because Hunter is a workaholic, like me. And with that, she loses track of the time, and, she doesn't like taking breaks. So she either doesn't eat or Bushford has to force her to take a break to eat. And like with me, if she has one specific really bad texture, her appetite will just blah. It'll just leave existence. So when Hunter and Bushy were first like hideout mates, I guess is the proper phrase. Like, he made sure to gather intel on like what Hunter's worst um worst food textures were. So like anything lumpy, slimy, like anything that's just like squishy, I guess. Like, there are some exceptions to the squishy one. Like, she's addicted to like marshmallows and whatever other sweets are squishy, I don't know. But one thing that Hunter doesn't like very much just because of the feeling of it is anything that just like just I guess the best example would be like fruit gushers or something, but like anything that once you bite into it, it just spurts something into your mouth, like that Hunter doesn't know is there. Like, that's a big turn off for me with food, is like, I've never been able to enjoy fruit gushers, like, unless they were an oddly specific flavor. I don't remember what it is now. But, yeah. And then there's, like, everything else's texture, which is just a nightmare that it would take multiple streams to get into. But, like, Hunter and Bushroot worked well together as best friends, but as, like, no, stop. As, like, a romantic couple or something, I just do not see it. Like, it just doesn't click. Also, I had canon this lad is Aero Ace, so, you know, do with that what you will. Yeah, I don't think there's any plans to change Bushroot's personality. If anything, it's gonna be like how he acts when he is upset. Like, if anything, he's gonna act like his, let's get dangerous variant whenever he gets upset. Like, if anything, really. And then, like, Bushroot is just interesting to work with as a character, because it's like, I know I had something. Like, you know, an art thing. Yeah. Like, you have, like, from most sympathetic to least. I'm just making a little thing. I'm gonna put Quatterjet and Metavolt in the same color, because, you know. Yeah. Actually, no, he would be orange. Like, from most to least sympathetic. Most I would obviously give to Bushroot, because, you know, yeah. Then you have Metavolt and Quatterjet, who... Metavolt is just byproduct of a science experiment gone wrong, like, for school. And peer pressure got the better of him and stuff. Then you have Quatterjet, who Toymaker gone rogue because ran out of business. Or because he was put out of business. Very understandable. Hunter, I haven't figured out her fully yet, but that's why the fanfic is there. Link in the description. Then, like, Liquidator is less sympathetic from a, like, an emotional standpoint. Like, from a business standpoint, it's understandable. From an emotional standpoint, however, no. Like, he was basically, for those who don't know, basically, I think he was like poisoning the competition's water or something so that his company's water would sell, which is not a very nice thing to do, sir. And then you have Netadot, who's just, in canon, evil for being evil's sake. I'm still figuring him out for my AU slash my fanfic. Linked in the description. But yeah, like, a little over half of the, yeah, like 4/6 of the team is understandable. Like, Bushroot, peer pressure, wanted to make the world a better place, got shunned, etc. Medavolt, just a kid, like, I say kid. He was a kid when his incident happened that gave him the electricity ability, so I'm just gonna call him that. Kid who just wanted to science, and, his science experiment didn't quite work out the way it was supposed to. Quatterjack, again, understandable. Like, his business got put out of business because of Wiffle Boy, so him being upset at Wiffle Boy's company is understandable. Again, Hunter not figured her out yet, but it's probably gonna have something to do with family. Liquidator, understandable from a business standpoint. Emotional slash sympathetic standpoint, not really. Nedaduk, head empty, only evil. But yeah, that's basically like that on that. Like, don't get me wrong, I do feel sort of bad for Liquidator being turned into Liquidator. But also, he was sort of asking. No, that sounds horrible. Like, he was not being what a business salesman should be. He wasn't being transparent about why his water was selling so good while the others were doing really badly. Oh, goodness. And again, Netaduk, still figuring him out. But he's probably, like, not gonna be the same as in canon. Like, he's gonna be different. Because the whole Tron splitter thing. It's an interesting idea, don't get me wrong. But also, it's like, it doesn't quite fit, if that makes any sense. And, the entirety of Fowl and the other villains are a whole other story. Yeah, the rest, like Fowl and the other villains that exist, are a whole other story that I'm not quite prepped to focus on because I don't know much about them. Because all that knowledge about them from past viewings has leaped out of my head. But yeah, that's basically from what I can think of. All I can think of for Hunter right now, at least. But, like, yeah. Like, the main thing about Hunter is that, like, as mentioned in the fanfic link in the description, uh, I can't stop promoting it, I'm sorry, I'm really proud of it. Hunter's parents went missing and left her all alone, like, basically, with little to no explanation, aside from a really horribly written note. And I say horribly written not because the handwriting was horrible, but because they felt that telling Hunter that they were going somewhere, or that they were, yeah, going somewhere through a note was the okay way to approach it. So, like, Hunter, like Bushroot, is emotionally driven, but instead of by positive feelings like Bushroot, it's the opposite. Like, instead of, like, Bushroot feeling like, oh, I'm sure your parents didn't mean to upset you, like, you know, they just didn't know how to tell you. Like, instead of feeling like that about it, Hunter feels the exact opposite. Like, she is angry, and rightfully so, like, because she, when her parents were around, she was a kid. So she loved her parents, like, with all her heart. So for them to just, you know, leave her, like, just, you know, leave her home alone for, like, some random, like, thing that they couldn't take her on for safety reasons. Hold on, taking a drink of water. For them to for them to not tell Hunter in a way other than a note. Her worldview as a kid was blindingly optimistic. She believed that no one had horrible intentions. They were just accidents. Everything horrible that happened, accident, not meant. Then her parents left with her siblings, Taylor and Lizzie, her older brother and older sister. They left her alone with telling her why she was alone by way of a note. She thought her parents were like her parents were like superheroes to her. Imagine you're a little kid in that situation. Your parents, who you feel are Wonder Woman and Superman, and, you know, siblings too, just, you know, leave you to go on a trip somewhere that they can't take you. And there's no date on when they'll return. That whole thing didn't just track Hunter's worldview, it absolutely shattered it into a million pieces. Like, and then the whole best friend incident happened in high school, and that only shattered her worldview even more. So, her trusting Bushroot took it took Hunter ages to finally trust him. And when she did finally trust him, she was super clingy because, she didn't want to lose anyone. Because of her parents leaving, her family leaving at such her alone at such a young age, it's like all Hunter was left with was questions, regret, guilt, confusion, resentment, and anger towards them. And her mind was filled with questions like, why couldn't they take me with them? Why did they go? Why was I singled out? Why was I left behind? Why me? So, she basically sort of had the same worldview as, keeping with the Disney theme, like Stanford heard Pines from Gravity Falls. Trust no one. Hunter's reasoning for that was that incident where she was left alone at home with nothing more than a note from her parents saying, hey kiddo, sorry we left without telling you. It came up suddenly, we had no time to tell, like, to inform you about it. Sorry, love you, Mom, Dad, Lizzie, and Taylor. Imagine reading that as a kid. I'm just gonna write that in the comments. Or in the Discord. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm not surprised Hunter started working for the Fearsome Five. Like, being thrust into a life where you're suddenly away from those you care about, away from your home because you had to be put in an orphanage. Like, being put in the situation Hunter was put in, it would slightly break you. Like, oh. But, like, the note her parents left. Hey, kiddo, sorry we're not home right now. We had to go on a trip and we couldn't take you. We wish we could, but it's too dangerous. Hope to see you soon. Love, Mom, Dad, Taylor, and Lizzie. What Hunter read slash was hearing when she read it. Hey, kiddo. Sorry we're not home right now. We had to go on a trip and we couldn't take you. We wish we could. No, that's wrong. Wrong thing. Hey, kiddo. We left you home alone. We had to leave you because we had to go on a trip and couldn't stay with you. We wish we could, but you're too little, fragile, and sensitive to go with us. Grown-ups only, kid. Love, Mom, Dad, Taylor, and Lizzie. She basically, all she could take from the letter, or no, sorry, was that her parents left. Basically, because as a kid you overthink things a lot and your imagination goes wild. She thought they left because of her, or because they didn't love her, which is extremely incorrect. But, like, as a kid, like, you're not the smartest. Like, not saying that little kids are dumb. I've met some extremely smart little kids. But and Hunter has had ADHD since she was a kid, but it wasn't diagnosed when she was a kid. It only got diagnosed when she was 18. And she was not in a good mindset when she read the note, or afterwards. Like, she couldn't process everything properly. She kept thinking, like, that she did something wrong, that it was her fault that they left. That they left because of her. That they didn't want to be with her anymore. Which is, like, obviously, even though she's a self-insert, that's not true for me. Like, my family is very loving and caring towards me. Stressing that heavily. But, like, for Hunter to go through that, she will. It's understandable that she is clingy after that. Because that's not something you just get over quickly. Like, it takes a good amount of time just to, like, adjust to not having your family around when you've had them around your whole life. it's like, obviously Hunter is an extreme example, but some people, may have gone through stuff like that. Maybe they came out differently. Either way, like, her experience with that absolutely ravaged her worldview. Like, she barely had a worldview anymore. Like, obviously, like, this wasn't always the plot line with, or like, the backstory for Darkwing Hunter. Like, Hunter for the Darkwing universe thing I'm working on. But it explains her, like, her, her clingy tendencies more than, like, anything else could. Like, I'm gonna use another character from the series as an example. Goslin. She lost her grandfather because of something. Voice stretch, yay. Yeah, yay. Oh gosh. Like, Goslin lost her grandpa, who was taking care of her, but she turned out completely different. I don't remember if there was ever a reason for it, but she just stayed the lovable Goslin we know and love. Unfortunately, Hunter wasn't lucky enough for that. She wishes she was, because the family that adopted her was okay, but, like, they weren't the best. Like, they did their typical parental duties, but after that it was just like they basically took care of the typical stuff that a parent should, and called that it because it was like, yeah, it's just a kid. What do they know? Like, Hunter, Hunter's upbringing and Goslin's upbringing are totally different. Like, yes, Drake is strict. It's with Goslin. Yes, he does tend to, like, you know, uh, just be that typical overprotective parent. But with Drake, he was basically, Drake was like the thing that Hunter's adoptive parents weren't. Drake was present whenever Goslin needed it. He was there for her when, you know, or he is. I'm not saying Drake dies. Drake does not die, neither does Goslin. I will say that here and now. They do not die. I just, for some reason, wanted to use past tense. Drake is like, he's always there for Jocelyn whenever she needs it emotionally. Heck, he even took her in to protect her from, like, a group of bad guys who were literally hunting for her so that, like, they could arm a weapon of sorts. And that was how Drake and Goslin met. Like, they met through unfortunate circumstances, and at first, he wanted nothing to do with her. Like, after the case was shut completely, like, he was originally just gonna be like, okay, kiddo, back into the orphanage you go. But the more time he spent with Gauze, the more he grew attached, which means the more he cared, which at the end of the two-part, like, pilot episode, I guess it would be called? Whatever it is, Darkwing dons the duck. At the end of part 2 of that, he ends up adopting Goslin, despite how badly injured he is. And, like, how busy he is a lot of the time with being Darkwing Duck. He still decides to adopt Goslin. Like, he didn't quote unquote need to, but he still did. Which shows, like, exactly how much he cares. Because Drake is a busy guy as Darkwing, so him being willing to take Goslin in as his daughter, like, speaks volumes about him as a person and character, if that makes sense. Like, I think in, like, one of the banned episodes because of the subject matter, Drake went to hell and back for Goslin. Back to Hunter's adoptive parents, they'd try to go back to hell and back for Hunter, but they barely make it to the date because it's like, right, this looks too dangerous. It's whatever. We can go adopt another kid. It's whatever. If she's dead, she's dead. That's whatever, man. And, like, Hunter, while at the orphanage, she went, she was, she started living at the orphanage, like, when she was 5. Her final adoptive parents, she was 12. Hunter pretty much never got adopted because she was seen as weird. And before her final adoptive family, like, whenever she did get adopted, like, she was put back because she's weird and clingy. And her final adoptive parents didn't put her back because they felt like that would be it, like saying they accept defeat, which they're stubborn. They're not gonna do that. But, like, if Hunter were ever to see, like, how Drake parents Goslin, she would wish she had that kind of adoptive parent. Like, she wishes that, like, her dad was like that. Like her adoptive. Her original parents were extremely loving, but again, they couldn't take her on the trip with them. It was just way too dangerous. And even though Darkwing's catchphrase is, "Let's get dangerous," Hunter was still, like, growing. So they didn't want to risk Hunter not having a childhood. Like, they didn't want to tear that away from her. They didn't feel it was right. A lot of good that did them. No, wait, that sounded mean. Like, let me see if I can find her actual parents. Yeah. Ignore Della there. It's sort of just like hinting towards what the trip was. But this is the mom. Hold on, I should probably, like, mark this. Nope, that looks horrible. I'll just go black. That's the mom. The dad. Ignore my horrible handwriting. Taylor. And then that's Lizzie. And obviously, these two were not this young when the trip came up. Like, they were practically adults. Like, they were like 17 to 18. But again, like, if they told Hunter in person, she would have understood. But because they, like, they're very emotionally in touch, but they're not the best with words either. So they didn't want to risk making Hunter cry, because if you're a parent, you don't make your kid cry. That's bad. But like, they could have executed it better. Like, her parents are like basically the source, like the sources of all of Hunter's issues. And yeah, it takes Hunter a while to like open up to literally anyone about it, because it's like, obviously, because the Fearsome Five may be villains, but like Bushroot is, they probably are still sympathetic. Like, Hunter doesn't want to burden them at all because they're always busy. Like, doing whatever crimes they're doing, so she doesn't want to, like, she basically, like, doesn't want to inconvenience them or take time out of their day, so she just bottles it all up despite knowing that that is a bad idea. But it's like, when she becomes part of the Fearsome Five, now renamed Sinister Six because Hunter's there, she can't tell anyone else that isn't, like, a member of the Sinister Six, because she's basically a criminal now, so she could, like, get arrested if she tries to, like, go to therapy or something for it. Like, just go to someone to talk to. So all those feelings are just locked up, like. And then, like, she doesn't feel like she contributes enough to the team. Because, just to list off the team's abilities: Medical, Electrokinesis, Liquidator, Water Kinesis, or Control, whatever. Kinesis basically means water, I think. Or Control, sorry. Bushroot, Plant Life Kinesis, or just Plant Kinesis. I think Clatterjack is just, like, Toon Logic. But Hunter, at least as of right now, she's just her. She can't do anything special, like. Yes, she's good at animating. Yes, she's good at writing. Yeah, she can sometimes be smart. Yes, she's good at problem solving quickly. Yes, she's agile. Agile, smart, quick at problem solving, flexible, good at art/animating. I don't know if that's just a personal headcanon of mine, but him being good at art and animating is just a thing I have. She basically, like, sees herself as dead weight for the team. She feels like she weighs everybody down. But she has one little thing that no one on the team does. Except for maybe Clatterjack, but not as much as Hunter does. She has a whole lot of that. But that's basically all that she has that's different from everyone else. Like, she doesn't have any superpowers, like, as much as I hate the word, even though it's incorrect. She's just normal. She's normal and can't, like, she's like, my name for Quattrojet here is just a headcanon, by the way. It's not canon in the slightest. The team is made up of Elmo Sputterspark, who is Megavolt. That's a name that, to me at least, like, sounds powerful. Bushroot, it's Reginald Bushroot. It's his last name, but it works with what his ability entails. Liquidator was Bud Flood. The name change is understandable. But Liquidator, again, sounds powerful and strong. Then you've got, like, Quatterjack. Or, my headcanon for his citizen name is Michael. Like, I haven't figured out a last name for him yet, but first name Michael as a little reference to his voice actor. Michael becomes Quatterjack, which sounds like the name of a clown. Clowns are scary. Hunter Puddles becomes Hunter. We have a Bushroot case, but Bushroots make sense. Hunter's doesn't. 'Cause whenever there's, like, any form of, like, confrontation or whatever, Hunter tends to turn tail and run. She doesn't follow them, hunt them down, whatever. She runs. Which is typically how she gets caught by Darkwing, but, you know. The dude's small, fast, and agile. Like, and then, like, her design compared to everyone else's, like, ignore the one on the right, that's just for later stuff. This is her design, both Citizen mode and Sinister Sits mode. The Sinister Sits, Hunter. Sits, Hunter. Sits, Hunter. She. And it's too late to change her design because I'm already working on an animation with her in it. And I don't want to redo all those frames again. She. Her design compared to everyone else isn't the most solid. Like, I guess that could be good if they needed her to infiltrate somewhere. But she looks painfully normal. Like, there's no two ways about it. She's painfully normal looking. Compared to the likes of Liquidator, Medieval, Bushroot, etc. She looks like a college student. No, not even a college student, because she's like 5'2", I think. I may have to redo their heights. But Hunter is short and looks like a college or high school student. Meanwhile, these guys have solid, like, almost unnerving-ish designs. Like, they're not normal. Like, here's a good example. Clatterjack. He's a clown. That's not saying he's, dumb idiot, although sometimes he can be. But it wasn't me that said that. And he sits out like a, sore feather. Bushroot. That's actually. Hold on. I have a better reference image. I think. One that I actually use as a reference image, funnily enough. No, wait, that doesn't work. Hold on. Where's that other one I had? Close enough. He looks like a plant, so again, sore thumb. Metavolt, do I need to say it? I love him, but also, buddy, why? Liquidator, he's made of pure water. I don't even need to say anything about Liquidator, because he's made from water. Like, he's pure water. And maybe a little bit of spite in there, too. But then you get to Hunter, who's, like, again, very ordinary. Don't mind me just sending a thing to a browser. Yeah, but Hunter is like. She's very. She, like. Pushes herself, like. Even when she's reaching her limits. Like, even when she's about to go through burnout, like. She keeps working because she wants to measure up to everyone else, even though, like. She pretty much does a lot of the work. Like. She is, like Crackerjack, a people pleaser. And, she pretty much works herself not to death, but like I mentioned earlier, to burnout. Because she wants to measure up to everyone. Even though they're already like, no, you've done enough, please take a break. Because, again, she is a hard worker, but doesn't know when to take a break. So, like, burnout is very common for her to go through. Like, even when she's going through burnout, she'll, like, I hate using the word, but like, she'll basically beg to be able to work again because she feels like she's not doing enough for the team. She feels like she weighs everyone down, so she should contribute more, even if it's not in the typical conventional way, even if it's just like working until she can't work anymore or do anything anymore. Even when she's at her wit's end, like, even when everyone is like doing everything they can to prevent her from working, work, like, she has a horrible mindset that I myself am trying to get out of, that is, your self-worth is how much, or how much you're worth is how much work you get done. I am aware that that is a horrible mindset. I'm working on getting out of it, I promise. But, because basically the only time Hunter's adoptive parents, praised or gave her time to hang out, whatever, was, you know, when she got A's, etc. Yeah, but like, Hunter basically grew up in a mindset that's like, if you're not perfect, you're not good enough. Because again, Hunter's parents, pretty much were like, obviously, it wasn't full neglect mode, like, they kept her, they did everything, like, to keep her alive, etc. So that, they could keep her. Because, some people see kids as like, even though it sounds horrible the way I'm thinking of it, like the way I'm thinking of phrasing it, some people see kids as like, basically like something to use, like, to gain a social status, I guess. Like, it's horrible, but Hunter's adoptive parents were like that. And the only way Hunter would get true, genuine validation was when she would get a straight A's, like, report card in school. Like, you know, they wouldn't hurt her if she got, like, below B's. They were basically what I like to call whatever parents, I guess. Like, they didn't care about grades, but if it was, like, straight A's, that was, like, basically landing on the moon. Oh, that's actually an interesting choice of expression. Like, Hunter, like, gets a lot of the team's work done because, like me, hold on here, I'm going to make a quick diagram here. Obviously, this is not how a brain actually looks. I am not your science teacher, kids. Just finishing up a quick thing. Like, this is just a rough, like, little slide thing. This is what Hunter's brain probably should look like. Bright pink is like love. The lighter lavenderish pink is like happy feelings. The bright green is work. And the light blue is like other important stuff. Remember how I said the bright green is work? There's only one color here. This is what Hunter's brain should be wired to look like. This is what it actually looks like. No, wait, that's incorrect. My apologies. Like, basically the only thing Hunter can think of without getting, like, anxiety or anything is getting work done. That's just how her brain has been wired. Like, if you aren't getting a good sizable amount of work done, why are you awake? Like, why are you even a thing? It's a horrible mindset that is, in my experience, really bad to be in. Like, I'm sure it's an insanely horrible thing. Like, no, I know that it's an insanely horrible mindset. But it's a mindset that's like, once you get into it, it's like a pit of, like, quicksand. Like, once you're in it, you have to take it slow to get out. Otherwise, you're gonna get deeper and deeper into the mindset. And you also need someone else to be there with you so you don't fall in deeper. The thing with Hunter, I'm gonna do another diagram because I love doing them. I just love diagrams a lot, man. Let me just put in the color of sand really quick. Imagine that this is like the quicksand of falling into a workaholic attitude. I'm just gonna go with white here. This is where most people should be. Hunter is here. When you're on this stage, it's like, okay, I may need help from someone. This one, a little bit of help won't hurt. A little more help, like, really needs help. Or actually needs more help than the last time. Really, really, really needs help. Needs help from, like, maybe 2 people. Maybe more. This is the one where this part here is where worry should start to set in. Because basically, like, first stage, your head's still above the sand. It's fine. You're not gonna get hurt in any way. And I need to wrap this up really quickly because I've got 1 minute until I'm done. This one, you're slowly starting to sink under. The reds are where the habits need to stop. Like, at this point, Hunter needs help from Bushroot and Megavolt. She's gonna drop to here at one point, which is when she'll need help from everybody. Maybe even outside of the Sinister Sits. Anyway, that's all the time I've got for today. Almost 3 hours. Wow. Good job, me. Anyways, I'm gonna end stream now. I will be, hopefully, unless something comes up on Saturday, be streaming next Saturday. Or the Saturday of